NF Acous, previously NF Audio. I kind of like appreciate this brand because they have their own philosophy and they don't really target audiophiles. They market their earphones or IEMs to musicians, like for stage use and even mixing and monitoring and stuff. Well, they have a new product, the NM25. They actually said this is a dynamic driver stage in-ear monitor professional series. I think I'm ready to talk about this one here, and let's find out what I think about the NM25. Good day guys, this is Practiphile, and yeah, today we're going to take a look at here the NM25. Thank you so much NF Acous for sending this in for a review. Really appreciate that. This one here comes at $199 as of this review. A lot of things to talk about this one here. So NF Acous, again, they are a company that was founded in 2014. They do earphones for stage use. Usually they use dynamic drivers, and they have this, let me just, I think I already told you about this one here. So like when I was in Japan, I was torn between picking an IEM from NF Acous and Acoustune, but I ended up picking the Acoustune anyway. But nevertheless, I do think that their dynamic drivers have very, how do I say, they are capable in a way that they are good for stage use. And what I mean by that is, let me just put this in straight. IEMs for stage are a little bit different when you are, if you listen or buy earphones for just like the recent earphones right now with that are targeting different targets like Meta or Harman or something. Stage use monitors, it has to have a specific tuning depending on the use. So usually what works for stage use is it usually is a V-shape in tonality. You have to have that bass and you have to have a little bit of treble, especially around the upper mids, because when you're on stage, everything is gonna be very noisy and you just wanna hear everything, right? If you are listening to a neutral sounding set, let's say for example like Meta or something with a tuck in the sub bass, good luck dude. You are not, those mid bass, they're just gonna drown out with the noise and the crowd and everything. So that is one. Another one with stage monitors is it has to have a good fit. It has to be snug. And that's why ideally you would use custom, right? But NF Audio kind of like manages to sell their monitors using just universal fit IEMs, because after custom ears, one that is very, very effective is like the bean shaped monitors from Sennheiser, or yeah, usually Sennheiser, like the IE series, like bean shape. They have very good fit, and you know, you want to have very good fit if you're playing on stage. It seems like NF Audio was able to do that using a universal shape design IEM. So yeah, let's just talk about the specs in here. So the NM25, it is a full metal shell IEM, and I think I read that these are actually coming from a single piece aviation aluminum and carved with like 5-axis CNC. So it has actually like a very good quality to it. Like it looks like it's well made. You have the NM25 monitor in there and their logo in there. So it does look really, really good. Forgot to talk about the box. So in the box, again, with the usual NF Acous packaging, you're greeted like with a CD or something. The IEMs were sitting here. You get the ear tips here, the MS42 ear tips. This is my new favorite ear tips because I found that it actually tames treble, and I'll explain that later. You have their manuals in here, and you have the carrying case, which is, I just like this presentation. Like if you're a musician, you're just gonna buy this. Just the presentation alone, it looks like they're the only ones doing this kind of presentation, which is really, really unique. Ear case is just standard, and I think you also get like I think 3.5 to 6.5 adapter. Cable is okay. Actually, cable is just okay. I mean, like for $199, it does feel a little bit cheaper or thin. It could have been better. What I mean by better is like maybe thicker. Otherwise, like the cable is okay. Oh, one thing also to note about stage monitors is it has to be easy to drive. So the impedance here, it's 32 ohms, which is actually okay. Just imagine these are hard to drive and you're out of volume, good luck. But yeah, I think drivability wise, these are pretty okay. Yeah, sound insulation, it's pretty good. Typical of NF Acous. Yeah, I think those are for the specs. Let us now move on to the sound. So again, disclaimer, these are not for audiophiles. These are not tuned to listen to music, but hey, we have different tastes. You may have a different taste, you may like this, but the graph of the NM25 looks like that one over there. I know, it looks really scary. It does look scary. You see there that there's really not a lot of bass, which is true also. Like, you don't really have a lot of bass, not a lot of sub bass, just enough mid bass. There is a very high gain in there. That is like, how much? That is like, I don't know, like more than 10 dB of 2.5 gain, and then like a lot of upper mids energy in there, and then after 10K just down. So what this translates is these are an upper mid focused IM. So it's not as shouty as I expected it to be, which is surprising. Maybe it's also because of the ear tips that they come with, because I'm using the short profile ear tips. So maybe it interacts differently in my ears when I use their ear tips. It's not as bright. Don't take my word for it, but it's not as bright as the graph says. I know they're bright, but you may think like, oh, this is gonna be terrible sounding. Yes, there are some timbral inaccuracies in there. I do hear a difference in timbre, especially with the voices, but they're not as peaky, or at least for me, you may be sensitive to this area in here, so that's why, you know, like we have different ears. So the tonality in this one here, let me just say, is like it doesn't have a bass, upper mid focused, bright set, whatever. Yeah, this is the tonality in here. For the bass, again, it's not really a lot. I mean, you don't really see a lot of bass. There, it is quick, it is tight, which is also surprising because I never really thought that. I thought there's no bass in here, but it actually has. It has some good impact too, you know, like, but it's not really like bass head level. So maybe all of the energy in there, it's like the energy in the upper mids is probably just masking everything on the bass in there. So yeah, that's about the bass, really impactful. And I feel like the bass is also very flat. Like it's almost uncolored sound, you know, like it's like the bass after a recording. It does really sound like that. It's like the bass without coloration. I think the bass is okay. Moving on to the mids in here, the mids are, I don't really think that the instruments sound natural because I tried using it with my drums. There's a little bit of, you know, the timbre is a little bit dry, and I attribute that to the upper mids elevation in there. I don't think they're that accurate when it comes to timbral accuracy, especially with the cymbals. The cymbals just sound a little bit too intense for me, although they don't really have a lot of past 10K energy peaks, but the cymbals were just too intense sounding. And even if they say this can be like a stage monitor, I don't think, if you're a drummer, I don't think this is a good idea to use. Maybe if you're a vocalist, or maybe like you play bass, maybe that's okay if you're the vocalist, or the guitars, not sure. It depends on your interface, it depends on your pedal, whatever you use. But if I were to play drums, I don't think I would, you know, use this one for monitoring. Treble, again, they are, you know, it's elevated in there. You may be sensitive to that. So it's safe to say, because of the peaks, you may be sensitive to that area. You may hear different, you know, this might be too jarring for you. But then again, for me, it is okay to listen to in like low to mid level. More than that, you can't really blast your volumes in here because the treble just really, it will let you know that it's too much. So that's what I can tell about it. And for the technicalities, they do have some good detail retrieval because again, that is boosted resolution in there. And I mean, like if you're mixing something and if you really want to hear those details, then go ahead, you can use this for a mixing. Otherwise, just use the traditional method of like using some speakers or maybe a headphones. I'm not sure. It's really like, you know, mixing is really personal. Like if you're used to mixing earphones and if you're used to mixing brighter tilted sources for mixing, then you know that's good. There are people who also mix tracks with bassy headphones and it turns out like they actually produce decent tracks. You know, like mixing is really personal, so there's really no like good or bad thing. There are, you know, like there are better ways to do it, but I don't think there is the right way to do mixing. That's just what I can say about it. So moving on to the comparisons here. let me just compare it to its like older brothers. Let's start with the NA20. The NA20 does have that peak in there around the 5K, and I forgot, they actually have a patented technology in here that they said they have this patented technology, Clutter Trap 2.0, wherever that is, but what it does is actually removes the 5K peak. And NF Acous, they're used to have that peak in there, like the 5K elevation, and the people are really sensitive to that area. So it seems like they removed that peak, or maybe they shifted the peak from 5K, so they did it earlier, like a 2.5K or something. So that's why I said it's really not as peaky as the NA20. The NA20 also comes little more, it's more V-shaped, but it's also more peaky. So I guess that is an upgrade in a way. If I compare it to the NA2 Plus, you do see that it's almost like a similar curve. This is an upgrade to the NA2 Plus, by the way, but the NA2 Plus does have that 5K peak in there, which can sound really annoying at times. But then again, you don't see that on the NM25. Actually, the company graph looks better than mine, but still, both of these actually sound, these are like, maybe people can say these are neutral bright or just straight up bright tonality. But then again, really audition, guys. Other things that I can think of that are neutral in this price range is probably the EA1000, right there. So the EA1000, for normalizing it with 500, so it looks like they have a similar bass, but look at the elevation there on the NM25. That's like 5 dB extra. So you can EQ this. The EA1000 also has a very good bass impact because of that passive radiator. It's the only IM I gave 3.5 the bass, and even until now, I still use the EA1000 when I play drums because it just gives that extra airy hit on the kick drums and on the bass in general. So maybe the EA1000 is a better pick if you're looking for listening. But then again, these are marketed as monitors and also for like mixing or something. So these might actually work if you use it for stage. But for me, again, this might work for you, but for me as a drummer, I tried it with my electric drums. The cymbals were just a little bit too bright. Maybe it will work if you're a bassist or a vocalist, maybe it will. But then again, for listening, it's just a little bit strange. There's some timbral inaccuracies with the vocals, and I think it's really attributed to that peak in there around 2.8 and then just really, you know, like elevated upper mids. So yeah, I think that is it for my review, guys. So again, NM25, these are not like, I mean, if you are a stage musician, maybe you need to audition them. Maybe if you play the piano or like organ or something, this is really fine. But just for cymbals, because I'm a drummer, it's just a little bit too forward for me, okay? But then, like other things aside, like I do suggest that you audition them. So message to the viewers, yeah, I mean, like learn how to read graphs, but don't take everything at face value. Still trust your ears. Message to the company, I know you're doing a lot of things, you know, like you're releasing a lot of sets that are for professional use, for stage music. I really admire you doing that because I think you're the only company that markets and helps musicians and, you know, like stage performers in general. So I continue to support you guys, but like different earphones have different purposes, and I think, yeah, this might actually fit as stage monitors, but not just for me as a drummer. Thank you so much, guys. If you feel like my content is helpful, consider liking and subscribing. Have a great day. See you next time. Bye for now.